History loves heroes, men of honor, symbols of virtue, figures we feel comfortable admiring. But Cao Cao was never meant to be admired. He was meant to be feared, debated, and remembered. To some, Cao Cao was a ruthless tyrant. To others, a brilliant statesman and military genius. Even today, he remains one of the most controversial figures in all of Chinese history. And perhaps that is because Cao Cao forces us to confront an uncomfortable truth. History is not shaped by good intentions alone, but by those willing to act when the world falls apart. Cao Cao was born into an age of collapse. The Han Dynasty, once a powerful and unified empire, was rotting from within. Corruption consumed the court. Famine devastated the countryside. Rebellions erupted across the land. Laws lost their authority. Morality became fragile. And loyalty, once sacred, turned into a dangerous liability. This was not an age for idealists. It was an age for survivors. Many men spoke of virtue. Cao Cao spoke of order. From early on, he understood something that many of his contemporaries refused to accept. When chaos reigns, moral purity becomes a luxury. Cao Cao did not believe the world could be saved by good intentions alone. He believed it could only be saved by control. To him, chaos was the greatest enemy. And to defeat chaos, one had to be willing to become dangerous. While others clung to reputation and moral appearance, Cao Cao focused on results. Effectiveness mattered more than innocence. Stability mattered more than praise. This philosophy would define his life and earn him both power and hatred. One phrase would follow Cao Cao for centuries. I would rather betray the world than let the world betray me. Whether Cao Cao truly spoke these words matters less than what they represent. They capture his worldview perfectly, a world where trust was fragile, where betrayal was common, and where hesitation meant death. Cao Cao accepted moral condemnation as the price of survival. He did not seek to be loved. He sought to be effective. To his enemies, he was merciless. He eliminated rivals without hesitation. He ruled through fear when necessary, believing fear was preferable to disorder. But Cao Cao was not simply a butcher of power. He was also a reformer. He promoted talent regardless of birth or status. In a rigid society obsessed with lineage, Cao Cao valued ability above all else. He stabilized food production through agricultural reforms. He restored administrative order in regions shattered by war. Where chaos once ruled, structure returned. Cao Cao did not see himself as a villain. He saw himself as a necessary force. And this is what makes him so unsettling. Cao Cao forces us to ask a question that history often avoids. What happens when morality can no longer protect civilization? Is it better to cling to virtue and watch society collapse, or to abandon virtue in order to preserve order? Cao Cao chose the latter, and because of that choice, he reshaped the course of history. He did not build an empire through idealism, but through realism, not through moral perfection, but through decisive action. This is why Cao Cao still divides opinion today. He refuses to fit neatly into the categories of hero or villain. He stands in the gray space between them. Cao Cao did not become a hero. He became something far more disturbing, a man who chose power over virtue and forced history to bend as a result. So the question remains, was Cao Cao a tyrant, or was he simply honest about what his world demanded?